tore the heart out of much of this country.
Yes, we'll go live to Bev Turner in Washington, D.C. for all the latest on that story. Your Wednesday night starts right here. Britain is going to hell. Next.
Alex, thank you very much. The top stories. The first family has arrived in the UK under Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer's one-in, one-out migrant deal with France. The Home Office said the arrival was part of critical first steps under the scheme following the removal of 4 people from Britain. The incoming party was a family of 3, including a small child. The agreement, which came into force last month, is aimed at deporting migrants who've crossed the English Channel in exchange for allowing those who apply in France and are approved to come to the UK. The government says the newly established legal route for those entering the country includes rigorous documentation as well as eligibility and security checks. Meanwhile, the FBI says a shooting at an immigration facility in Dallas is being investigated as an act of targeted violence. Police said 3 detainees were shot, 2 had died and 1 was in a critical condition. The attacker also died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Officials have named the suspect as 29-year-old Joshua Jan. Dallas FBI Special Agent Joseph Rothrock said it was a coordinated attack, just the most recent example we've seen of targeted violence. He also said early evidence suggested the attack was anti-ICE in nature. The London mayor has branded Donald Trump racist, sexist and Islamophobic after the US president claimed the mayor wants London to go to Sharia law.
I look at London, where you have a terrible mayor, terrible mayor, and it's been so changed. Now they want to go to Sharia law, but you're in a different country. You can't do that.
Sadiq Khan hit back, saying he has squatters' rights in Mr Trump's head and is thankful for record numbers of American visitors. Labour dismissed the attack, saying the president was misreading London and stressing it remains a global hub of law, culture and creativity. Reform UK leader Nigel Farage, though, backed Donald Trump's concerns, saying Sharia is an issue in London, but not an overwhelming one. And Volodymyr Zelensky addressed the UN General Assembly today, opening his speech by saying only we can guarantee our own security. He said Vladimir Putin will keep driving the Ukraine war wider and deeper unless he is stopped. He added the world is living through the most destructive arms race in human history and that because international institutions are too weak, Russia's madness continues.
Estonia had to call a UN Security Council meeting for the first time in history because Russian fighter jets deliberately entered its airspace. Moldova is defending itself again from Russia's interference. We are helping Moldova, and Russia's trying to do to Moldova what Iran once did to Lebanon. And the global response, again, not enough.
Zelensky was speaking after US President Donald Trump shifted his position on the Russia-Ukraine war, saying for the first time that Ukraine could win all of its land back. Donald Trump called Russia a paper tiger in big economic trouble, but he stopped short of pledging more US funding or weapons for Ukraine. Russia hit back, insisting Moscow is more bear than paper tiger. Those are the latest headlines for now. More in an hour.
Take the GBNews family with you on any device. As long as you have an internet connection, tune into GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond.
Welcome to the show, everybody. Well, President Trump's not wrong, is he?
It's time to end the failed experiment of open borders. You have to end it now. See, I can tell you, I'm really good at this stuff. Your countries are going to hell.
Well, some of you might not be convinced. Well, why don't I show you some pictures of some countries and you tell me what you think? Yep, well, that's Paris, France. It looks more like a tent city than a capital city of one of the most prosperous countries in the world. And how's it going in Sweden? Here's a report setting out some of the facts.
Less than a decade ago, Sweden had one of the lowest levels of gun crime in Europe. Now, they're the second highest. In Stockholm, gun violence is roughly 30 times that of London. The country is engulfed in a gang war, which is almost entirely run by people with a migration background. Sweden's famed welfare state and its lax asylum laws has made it a popular destination for immigrants. Since the 2000s, they've had a steady high number of new arrivals. But in 2015, it peaked at over 160,000. Of these non-Western immigrants, nearly half are unemployed. They are also 9 times more dependent on government welfare.
Yeah, well, Sweden used to be one of the safest countries in Europe. But no, of course, the left would say it's completely unrelated to immigration, isn't it? An explosion of gangs has nothing to do with soaring immigration. Let's check in on Germany too, shall we?
These are Germany's huddled masses. All of these people are seeking a better life in Germany. But such are the numbers that each of them can spend all day waiting here to register as a refugee and still not get inside to see an official. Tempers often fray and fights are common.
Yeah, that video is 9 years old, and safe to say it's gone down exceptionally well in Germany, hasn't it? Which has played host to over 6.5 million migrants since 2015. One Syrian national was sentenced to life imprisonment for carrying out a deadly terrorist attack during a festival in the country last year. Oh, and what about the birthplace of Western civilization in Italy? How are they doing?
Now, we were mentioning before the riots on the Italian island of Lampedusa, where police are clashing there with Tunisian migrants. They threatened to explode a gas canisters during a demonstration. We can bring you now Philip Williams' story.
What started as a peaceful protest against forced repatriations ended with this. Hundreds of mainly Tunisian refugees cornered by police with only one escape route, straight down. Here it appears one man jumps over the wall as he's chased by police. Local residents seem to be joining in, throwing stones at those trying to escape.
Totally normal, isn't it? Well, that video is also over 9 years old, but oh, of course, that's not the problem, is it? Women are completely safe, aren't they?
Last week, Desiree Mariottini, 16-year-old girl, her body was found in an abandoned building in the San Lorenzo district in Rome. A picture of her was tweeted out by the Italian news agency, and she last spoke to her grandmother on the phone, saying that she was getting a bus home on the 17th of October, but then her body was discovered on the 19th of October. She was drugged and raped and believed to have died from an overdose. Well, state police have arrested 3 people. They tweeted this picture of one of the suspects they'd arrested in connection with this. The 3 people are migrants from Senegal and Nigeria, and this has reignited the immigration debate.
And would you like any of these men, many from Pakistan, to make it to the UK?
The deaths of migrants at sea are all too common, but this is the first casualty at the land border between Greece and the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia. This man from Morocco died after being electrocuted on the Greek side on Thursday. Violence first broke out last Saturday after another man was badly burned when trying to cross on the roof of a train. Skopje has sealed its border with a metal fence. Sensing rising tension, the police put on their gas masks. Tear gas was then used to disperse the angry crowds.
Yeah, and Morocco, of course, is also a safe country, and so is Pakistan. I wish I could say I'm surprised, though, but I'm not. And, of course, we can't forget about the United Kingdom, can we? With the high calibre of doctors and engineers we've been inviting into our country, and you all know the details of that, don't you? Well, it's quite clear to me Trump was just saying what all of us know to be true. And you know what? He's done something about it.
Heard you got deported, dude. Bye.
States. They simply stopped coming. They're not coming anymore. We're getting a lot of credit, but they're not coming anymore.
2 million illegal aliens out of the United States in less than 250 days. What a contrast to the United Kingdom, where, well, Keir Starmer has managed about, 4, as far as we know? And before I get the thoughts of my superstar panel, I'm now joined by a senior advisor for the US Agency for Global Media and close President Trump confidant, Kari Lake. Kari, thank you so much for joining me. I played those clips there because I want the audience to remember this isn't just a UK issue. This is a European phenomenon as much as it is happening as well in the United States of America. Do you agree with Donald Trump that our countries are going to hell?
100%. And if it weren't for President Trump, we would have already fallen into the abyss here in America. But as you just played on that video, 200 million illegal immigrants in America have been given homecomings back to their homeland. And I think it's a beautiful thing, not only for them, everyone loves their homeland, but it's a beautiful thing for us as we go to protect our homeland. We have a lot more work to do here as we had suffered through a massive invasion over the past 4 years under Joe Biden's failed leadership. But President Trump's worried about the whole world. He's worried about the collapse of Western civilization, and he wants to help save Europe. I think that's a very noble thing to do. I thought his speech was powerful. I think the people of the world are standing up and cheering for President Trump.
Indeed. And what can we do here in the United Kingdom? Of course, Trump did mention illegal migration when asked at a press conference here during the state visit just a week ago or so. What is it, do you think, the action we need to take here, not just in the United Kingdom, but across Europe, Kari?
I think we've got to root out these globalist elected officials and globalists. Anybody who thinks the globalist vision is the vision for the world needs to go. And voters need to, with every bit of energy they have, vote these people out of office, get them out of office. They're the ones responsible for pushing this agenda of moving people in sometimes war-torn countries or countries that have strife, rather than finding them refugee homes or a placement in the country next door or 2 countries over. They moved them 7,000 miles away. They moved them into Sweden. They moved them into London, where there's no assimilation, no similarity in culture, no similarity in religion. There's only one reason they would do that, and that is to topple Europe. This is an invasion of Europe through globalist agenda of mass migration, and they never had to fire a single shot. They've invaded these countries by pouring in and forcing in and paying to move in tens upon tens of millions of people into countries where there just is absolutely no assimilation.
Indeed. Thank you so much, Kari Lake, for joining me there, Senior Advisor for the US Agency for Global Media and close President Trump confidant. Kari, fantastic stuff. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'd like to get the thoughts of my panel. Director for the Popular Conservatives, Mark Littlewood, businessman and political activist, Adam Brooks, and journalist and broadcaster, Nina Mishkov. Sorry, a bit of a long walk, as it always is, but thanks for joining me, panel. Mark, I'll start with you. I wanted to illustrate with pictures what's going on, because this is a crisis that goes back a decade. Yeah. It's not a modern phenomenon by any means. It's seen multiple governments across Europe, multiple leaders, deaths, casualties, a collapse in our culture. So much has happened as a result of this. What is it going to take for this crisis to end?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was especially important that you showed some videos from nearly a decade ago, because if we look over the past decade, this is the biggest mass movement of human beings in human history, bar none. I mean, the second place isn't even close. And the problem we've had is that the political establishment across the West has come up with no answer to it. So it took them by surprise. You know, I'm sure it will all be fine. Assimilation will happen. There can't possibly be an uptick in crime. Won't it be great that we've got all these additional workers in the economy? I mean, insofar as there's been a response at all, it's been that. And that has been found catastrophically wanting. That's why Donald Trump spoke to the UN in stony silence this week. He was laughed at in 2018. I think it's now dawning on the political establishment and the international bureaucratic elite that there is now a colossal problem. We did not nip it in the bud. And basically, we've got to stop the pull factors. We've not changed our welfare state, which was designed for a stable, indigenous population. We haven't changed the way it operates at all. So people are flocking in because they can get a slice of that. We've got to completely reset the rules of the game. And whether you love Trump or loathe Trump, he's at least trying to do that. If there are many other Western countries I haven't. He's achieved. Look at the southern border. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
No one coming in.
And that's really because, you know, bear in mind, we sometimes think that, you know, to deport people, we're going to have to round them all up, put them in handcuffs, force them onto planes. There will no doubt be a bit of that. But most of these departures are voluntary. Once you remove the benefits, once you remove that pull factor, that magnet factor, once you switch that off, people will actually say, I may as well return home.
And Adam, this is now an issue that's very close to home, because over those 10 years we've been building and building and building on this crisis, haven't we? It's just like a layer upon layer. And the Bell Hotel in Epping is where this is all sparked off recently. And I was talking about women's safety briefly there because I don't have much time, but I wanted to highlight that because this, again, is an issue across Europe.
So, look, this isn't just illegal immigration. This is legal immigration. This country has been gamed massively through study visas, through work visas as well. We keep getting told that we've got to embrace multiculturalism, especially by Sadiq Khan, who Trump has gone at. Now, if they want to embrace multiculturalism, they can embrace the rape stats for London. 1 rape every hour is reported in London. That is a disgrace. Women are not safe in the capital.
Are you implying that's all from migrants?
No, I'm not.
Right, let's get that clear.
So let's also just say, in England and Wales in 2014, there were 29,000 rapes in this country. Now, as of 2025, there are 71,000 rapes. Now, what has changed in those last 10 years?
That's not necessarily...
1 in 4 sexual crimes in this country is committed by a foreign man. Now, at the end of the day, we have Albanian gangsters that are running our drug trade in this country. 40% of the UK's terrorist watch list are foreign-born. So you cannot deny that we have not imported a terrible problem in this country. But if you look at Hare Hills in Leeds, if you look at Whitechapel, they do not look like Britain anymore. Immigration is good in some respects, but they must assimilate. They are replacing in many areas.
Nina.
I'd like to say 2 things to correct you. The woman that was on Carrie, she said he deported 200 million. It wasn't. It was 2 million. It was 2 million. And I'd also like to say that Keir Starmer apparently and the Labour government have deported 30,000. So you said they hadn't.
They haven't deported 30,000.
In illegal migrants, it's not quite the case they've deported 30,000.
But they've gone. OK. They're gone. It's like in America. They're not all illegal. They've gone voluntarily, or they've gone one way or the other. I really object to the demonisation of the word foreigner. There are many people who are foreigners who live in this country, who have contributed everything. They haven't come illegally, but because...
I don't disagree that, but 1 in 4...
No. Adam, we listen to you quite... Just to say, that means that now that anybody who sounds foreign, who looks foreign, is being tarred with the same brush. And I just like to say I object to that. Firstly, I'd like... Obviously, the entire world is on the move. It's down to climate change, down to wars.
Down to climate change.
It is very much down to climate change. Well, if you look at East Africa, I don't want to go and give you a geography lesson, but where there is drought and where there is famine, people then move.
It is about money and chasing an easier life.
It's not necessary. There are legal. There are illegal migrants, as you say, but there are also economic migrants, and I admit to that. But let me just say one thing. All the people that have come here illegally, or indeed legally, they've got themselves here. So inside them, there is some kind of a drive. There is some kind of gumption. We have got 1 million young people who are sitting in their rooms, on their sofas, doing sod all. They're not in training. And these people, whether you like them or not, they're not all saints. I'm saying they at least have some kind of passion. And besides which, if we didn't have migrants, our NHS would collapse.
We've also got 1.3 million on benefits from foreign-born on benefits.
Our NHS would collapse.
We have got to be more honest about talking about cohorts, right? You're right, we shouldn't tar people with the same brush, but we can look at population groups and make aggregate assessments about them. And we need to do that with a light touch. Doesn't mean that everybody in that group is a wrong un.
Agreed.
But there are groups which are posing particular threats. Eritrean men, isn't it, and Afghanistani men, much more likely to commit crimes and sexual offences. And those cohorts, as far as I'm aware, are not working in the National Health Service. So if we want to bring in people to prop up the National Health Service, let's have a look at different cohorts to do that, because the people coming in, or certain cohorts, don't seem to be sympathetic.
But they're a tiny percentage of migrants.
OK, thank you, panel. Thank you very much. We'll see you again very soon, anyway, for the next debate. But it's time now for the Great British Giveaway, and there's still plenty of time for you to become our biggest winner to date, driving away with a brand new 4-berth motorhome and banking 30 grand in tax-free cash. A prize package worth over 104 grand. Here's all the details you need.
You're not going to want to miss our greatest Great British Giveaway so far. You could bank an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. And if that wasn't enough, you'll also get to drive away in this brand new motorhome. With thanks to Marquis Leisure, this brand new 2025 Benimar Primero could be yours. It comes with all the mod cons you'd expect from a vehicle worth over £74,000 and comfortably sleeps 4 people. This prize package is worth over £104,000. And remember, if you can dream it, you can drive it away. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. The winner will be contacted live on GB News, week commencing 10th November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yes, good luck, everybody. Well, coming up.
We don't know what it was exactly. And right now they're jamming our VHF, as you can hear. We do not know where...
Yeah, SOS, Greta's Gaza flotilla has come under attack by suspected Israeli drones, but they're not attacking it with weaponry. They're blasting at her instead. But was she asking for it by travelling into a war zone? That's next.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Politically motivated violence is wrong. It was 2 weeks ago today that we saw a political assassination in Utah that tore the heart out of much of this country.
Yes, this is Patrick Christys tonight with me, Alex Armstrong, and that was Texan Senator Ted Cruz speaking after a migrant was shot dead by an anti-ICE gunman in Dallas earlier today. More on that shortly, by the way, but now it's time for our head-to-head. Yes, and it looks like Greta Thunberg's Gaza-bound aid flotilla might have met its Waterloo after coming under attack by suspected Israeli drones blasting ABBA music.
We don't know what it was exactly. And right now they're jamming our VHF, as you can hear. We do not know where this is coming from, the sound, but other vessels are experiencing the same thing. They're jamming our radio.
That's absolutely genius, isn't it? Thunberg's flotilla set sail for Gaza from Barcelona in late August, but on Tuesday, it was apparently attacked by suspected Israeli drones, as you saw there, blasting ABBA music. The Swedish activist previously attempted to deliver aid to Gaza, which also descended into a complete farce. While in June, Israeli forces boarded Thunberg's vessel, escorted the activists to the port of Ashdod before deporting them to Israel. So tonight, I'm asking, are Greta Thunberg and her fellow pro-Palestine activists just asking for it by travelling to a war zone? Well, going head-to-head on this now are journalist and commentator Jonathan Sacerdoti and the activist and commentator Peter Judicial. Thank you both very much for joining me. Peter, I'll start with you. I mean, look, I'll have to say, I think this is a little bit harmless, blasting them with ABBA music. I mean, they are making a spectacle of this flotilla. It's not like they're not putting cameras up and they're all doing it without the fame. They are putting themselves out there. They are putting themselves on camera daily. So this is a little bit of toying with them, shall we say, Peter?
Whatever side you're on with regard to the Israel-Palestine conflict, we want to ensure that civilians are not harmed, that they have the medicine, the food and the water they need to survive. The UN has declared there is starvation going on in Gaza. This convoy is designed to deliver much-needed aid. It's motivated by high humanitarian principles. The flotilla poses no threat whatsoever to Israel, yet despite the fact that it's in international waters, that it's a lawful activity, Israel is not merely blasting the flotilla with ABBA music, but dropping stun grenades and causing fires on these ships which endanger human life. That's grossly irresponsible. It's petty harassment. It's illegal, given these ships are in international waters and pose no threat to Israel. So there is absolutely no excuse for what Israel is doing.
Peter, I'm not sure it's been confirmed that Israel are actually doing those things, so I want to air a little bit of caution to our viewers here. But Jonathan, what do you make of what Peter was saying there?
Actually, a naval blockade is a legitimate and legal tool that can be implemented in high seas in the context of an armed conflict, and that's actually been recognised by leading naval manuals, including those of the US, the UK and Germany. And the legality of Israel's naval blockade on the Gaza Strip and its right to enforce that blockade in international waters, as he says, has actually been upheld by the report of the UN Secretary-General's panel of inquiry on the 31st of May 2010 flotilla incident. That was called the Palmer Report. So actually, the blockade is completely legal. And indeed, if this was really about delivering aid, as Peter says, then the flotilla participants would simply divert to Ashdod, which they've been asked to do by the Israeli authorities. That's a port in Israel where their aid would be offloaded and transferred into Gaza using the humanitarian routes that are already available. It's obviously clear that that's not what they're about, because that's something they've been offered and they've refused to do. In fact, this flotilla was planned and organised by Hamas, and it has quite firm links to Hamas. Hamas is leading the terror flotilla to Gaza, and that's why Israel is enforcing the blockade. The leading figures and organisers of this flotilla include an activist who's a known Hamas-affiliated body leader abroad, and another who's known to be a senior Hamas figure in Europe, who's actually heading up a branch of that same movement in the UK. And one of those men runs a shell company registered in Spain, which owns the ships that departed from Spain. So effectively, Hamas, through this shell company, owns some of those ships. Another flotilla leader who operates from London has been classed since 2012 by Israel as a senior Hamas activist in Europe. So this flotilla is directly linked to Hamas. It's not about bringing aid in, and a blockade, a naval blockade of this type has been actually shown to be completely legal.
OK. Peter, what do you make of that statement there, Jonathan's saying it's linked to Hamas? Do you think that there's anything to support that? Do you agree with Jonathan that it might be linked to Hamas there?
There is no credible evidence that that is the case. Even if the allegations that Jonathan's made have some truth, clearly the purpose of this flotilla is to give aid to the civilian population. It is not acting in support of Hamas, which is a terrorist organization which massacred innocent Israelis on the 7th of October and which persecutes Palestinians in Gaza. This has nothing to do with Hamas whatsoever. It's about humanitarian aid to civilians. And I just don't understand why, assuming, given past acknowledgements, that Israel is behind these drone attacks, why they are doing so, endangering human life. And it's so petty. It's a flotilla of aid. These are not warships. They're not armed people. Why is Israel behaving so pettily? Why can't just allow the flotilla to deliver the aid and get on with it?
Oh, gentlemen, unfortunately, we have run out of time. I'm sorry about that. We'll pick this up another time, I promise. Journalist and commentator there, Jonathan Sakadoty, and activist and commentator, Peter Tatchell. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? I mean, I don't think there's any harm in blasting ABBA at them. And there is a selfie flotilla, isn't it? Anyway, coming up, the Prime Minister's right-hand man, Morgan McSweeney, is fighting for his political career tonight after bombshell leaked emails dragged him into a hidden donation scandal. Can he survive, or is it time for Starmer to give yet another one the boot? I'll reveal all in just a minute.
Be nice to escape the grey.
Clear skies, here we come.
As clear as our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Western and central parts of Europe will start to see any heavy downpours easing away, though some scattered showers will still remain. That's not so much the case across the Canary Islands, Madeira, also Spain and Portugal. Mostly settled here, largely dry, plenty of sunny spells. But across France, even into parts of Germany, we could still see some isolated showers remain. But through Italy, the Adriatic coastline and also parts of Greece remaining settled, dry with sunny spells, though we could start to see more showers over the weekend.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Over the coming days, it should remain mostly dry and a rather settled picture. Still chilly overnight with some fog possible during the early hours of the morning. That's before some rainfall as we head towards the weekend. But the reason it's so dry and settled over the coming days, it's all due to high pressure situated to the northeast of the country. But eventually, we'll start to see some systems move in from the Atlantic. Now through into the evening, it is going to turn chilly as soon as the sun goes down, remaining mostly dry, plenty of clear skies, particularly in the west. So it's likely we'll see some frost here through the early hours of the morning, also some mist and fog, but more cloud across parts of the southeast. So it's not going to turn quite as chilly here, but many towns and cities mostly in the mid to high single figures. So across Scotland to start the day, once again it is going to be fairly chilly, particularly in any rural spots. Mostly dry, though we could start to see some high cloud build in from the west, a very slight chance of some isolated spells of rain here. Northern Ireland and northern parts of England, it should be a mostly dry and bright start, but once again some mist and fog in places, and fairly similar elsewhere across the rest of England and Wales, and still fairly breezy around southeastern coasts too. But through Thursday it'll be fairly similar to what we saw today, mostly dry, plenty of sunny spells, wall-to-wall blue skies for many areas. But western parts of Scotland, it is still going to be fairly breezy here, some high cloud pushing in. That will just create hazier spells of sunshine. But for most, it should be a mostly pleasant day. Temperatures will just start to push into the low 20s around the London area, but elsewhere mid to high teens, and still remaining fairly breezy around southeastern coasts. Through into Friday, once again, another chilly start, some mist and fog patches possible, but more clouds starting to push into the very far southeast. A chance we could see an isolated shower push through, and similar across the far northeast of England, and also Scotland too could see the odd isolated shower. But many, once again, it should be a mostly dry day. That's before a more unsettled picture as we head into Saturday. It's likely we'll see spells of rain and some possible strong winds.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace
Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
If I said to you that swans were being eaten in royal parks in this country, that carp were being taken out of ponds and eaten in this country by people who come from cultures that have a different... Would you agree it's happening here?
I've certainly read... I didn't know about swans, I've read about carp.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys Tonight with me, Alex Armstrong. And royal parks have pushed back on those eyebrow-raising claims from Reform leader Nigel Farage earlier today. More on that shortly. By the way, I have seen footage from the RSPCA that might suggest differently, so we'll get to that. But first, there are big questions tonight over the future of the Prime Minister's right-hand man, Morgan McSweeney. That's after revelations about hidden donations. Well, according to the Daily Mail, Starmer's Chief of Staff was advised to describe over £700,000 in hidden donations as an admin error. Oof. The donations relate to McSweeney's time in charge of the think tank called Labour Together, which was fined over £14,000 for more than 20 breaches of electoral law in 2021. In a leaked email from a senior Labour lawyer, Morgan McSweeney was advised that if he could not answer questions over the money, then he should just put them down as an admin error. Well, I'm now joined by Deputy Political Editor at The Spectator, James Heal. James, another bombshell story about what's going on in number 10 Downing Street. We had an advisor resign just a week ago over lewd text messages about Diane Abbott. Morgan McSweeney was also in the papers about the Mandelson scandal. Now he's back in again over this. What on earth is going on?
Well, Alex, this all relates to what happened before Keir Starmer became Labour leader. This is about the organisation Labour Together, which was pretty implicitly and explicitly set up to ensure that the party could be wrenched away from Corbynism. And right now we're seeing a series of revelations about exactly what went on in terms of the funding of that operation. And increasingly tonight, the questions are about what the Prime Minister knew and when, because, of course, he was the person who seconded Morgan McSweeney, now as Chief of Staff from the organisation Labour Together. So further revelations. And again, it's questions about a person who previously preferred to remain in the shadows, but has increasingly found himself on the front page of the national newspapers.
Indeed, and Morgan McSweeney, of course, has risen to this position after the sacking of Sue Gray, Prime Minister's former Chief of Staff, just, what is it, a year ago? It feels like a lifetime ago, James, but it's not been that long he's been in post. A lot of questions will be asked about Keir Starmer's judgment, because, of course, as you may have alluded to there, this electoral law breach was over in 2021. So questions as to whether the Prime Minister's judgment is a good one. Is he politically astute enough for the job?
Well, I think the poll ratings might answer that question, Alex. But first of all, I mean, look, we're approaching Labour conference. This Sunday it's going to kick off. And once again, we're finding Keir Starmer's second year in office, just like the first one. You know, last year it was, of course, about freebies, Lord Ali, all about whether things were properly declared or not. Right now, we're having the same debate reawakened as we approach that. And we thought a year on, Morgan McSweeney would offer a much better grip of the political operation, and instead we're having people answering questions about it on the morning media round. You could see established cabinet ministers being forced to defend the record of the Prime Minister's Chief of Staff. And I think that increasingly it's something that's irritating people, not just, you know, within the Labour Party in a sort of back office sense, but in the front bench in Parliament as well. And I've spoken to some today who are increasingly concerned about what it means in terms of Keir Starmer's direction and whether Morgan McSweeney is going to be the right person to ensure that they can get re-elected in 3-4 years' time.
James, a final question for you. Are the two men intrinsically linked? If Morgan McSweeney goes, will Keir Starmer have, well, got rid of all of his political capital that's left, let's say? Do you think he will be the one to go next?
Well, look, I mean, there's a line in the authoritative book, Get In, about the rise of Morgan McSweeney and Keir Starmer, which suggests that Keir Starmer merely was the sort of driverless train driver, someone who was at the wheel but actually not in control of the destination. And I think talking to people in Labour, it's very clear that people think the two men are interchangeable. So I do think that if Morgan McSweeney goes, one wonders about the future direction of this Prime Minister and the government as well.
And very briefly, where are these leaks coming from, James? It does seem like we always know there's leaks in Westminster. It's part of the mechanism of government these days, isn't it? But it seems like an attempt maybe to get rid of McSweeney. Do you think something's going on behind the scenes?
Well, look, I think that a lot of it is being driven by the Conservatives. There's clearly a very open attempt to get rid of McSweeney. But I think what's telling for the Prime Minister is that it's not just sort of the Conservatives who are making these attacks. Increasingly within Labour, there's a sense of the reshuffle was Morgan McSweeney's last chance of resetting the government. And so I do think that it's going to be an issue when it comes to Labour conference, particularly when a couple of MPs have had 3 or 4 drinks, etc. That kind of level of discontent about the current direction may well boil over. So I think that it's not just the Tories that Labour needs to be worried about, it's their own backbenchers as well.
Indeed. Well, James Hill there, Deputy Political Editor at The Spectator, thank you very much for joining me. Well, a spokesman for Labour Together has said this. Labour Together proactively raised concerns about its own reporting of donations to the Electoral Commission in 2020. An investigation with which Labour Together fully cooperated was completed in 2021. The outcome was made public. And a spokesman for the Electoral Commission said it had thoroughly investigated the late reporting of donations by Labour Together in 2021. They added, "We were satisfied that the evidence proved beyond reasonable doubt that failures by the association occurred without reasonable excuse. Offences were determined and they were sanctioned accordingly." Well, we'll see, won't we? We'll see. Coming up.
I am also worried about the rise of the far right.
Oh, so where's the far right? What is the far right? Anyway, that was the Home Secretary lashing out at the so-called far right. But do you ever hear her giving the far left the same treatment? Isn't this just selective outrage? Well, that's next.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Beth.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christys here.
I'm Michelle Duke, Britain's News Channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GBNews family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's News Channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays, here only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, DC.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it? Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys tonight with me, Alex Armstrong. And the Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, has lashed out at the so-called far right while pledging to ramp up deportations earlier today.
That having a secure border is actually necessary for maintaining what is actually very positive race relations in our country and for maintaining tolerance in our country. I am also worried about the rise of the far right. I am very worried about some of the rhetoric. I think it's getting out of control and I worry about where that might lead. I think it's very important for mainstream politicians to hold the line between what is acceptable and legitimate and within our law and what is outside of our law, but we should also hold the line on what is patriotism and what is actually nationalism.
Well, just hours after she made those comments, the Home Office confirmed that a family of 3 were the first migrants to arrive in the UK from France. No, not by small boat, but under the Prime Minister's one-in, one-out deal. Currently, the UK has sent just 4 migrants back to France under the terms of the agreement. What a disaster, eh? Joining me now in the studio is political commentator Aman Bogle. Aman, thank you so much for joining me as ever.
Sure.
3 in, 4 out, thousands, of course, over the course of the week. And the Home Secretary seems to be focused on the far right, the elusive far right. What do we make of all of this, Aman?
Well, indeed, Alex, I think it's sort of 1 out, 1,000 in, most probably. But look, this is about a Home Secretary, I think, who's, let's be honest, born in Birmingham. She identifies herself as the daughter of Kashmir. She's on record for saying that, where more than half of the population in that constituency is white British. And yet she spent a lifetime in sectarian politics, campaigning for everything from Gaza to Kashmir, to being friendly with Hamas, and to standing outside local Sainsbury's trying to boycott Israel. But look, let's be honest here. When for far too long, nationalism, nation first patriots, there's been besmirched as a dirty word. When we stand up to the systemic, racially motivated Pakistani rape gangs, we are labelled far right, right? We fly our flag to reclaim our civilization inheritance when we've had 3 decades of multiculturalism foisted upon us. We're called far right, right? When mums and grandmas, they protest against illegal dinghywalas, unvetted foreign men being dropped on their communities, a threat to their daughters and their granddaughters. We're called far right.
And we've seen this similar language used at the Liberal Democrat conference just the other day, which, you know, was quite shocking in some respects because one minute they're waving the Union Jack, what Union flag at their conference, and then a week before that they were calling everyone who did it at that march racist, far right, bigots, and all the things you can think of under the sun. And it seems to me there's this two-tier sort of system going on here with some people on the left who are allowed to be patriotic because they want open borders, essentially, but those who don't want open borders are branded far right. What do you make of this two-tier politics and this divisive rhetoric?
Well, look, I think the whole country knows really where Labour politicians stand when it comes to the Cross of St George or the Union flag. Who can forget that infamous tweet from Emily Thornberry all those years ago? You know, literally said image from Rochester, where you had a house of probably a white working class man and a family with, you know, a white van parked outside, and that's very proud Cross of St George. But going back to what Shabana Mahmood, you know, said today, she said there is a line there, and I know where it is when it comes to patriotism and nationalism. We all know that. She's an internationalist socialist. Her line is at the border of Kashmir. Her line is at the border of Gaza. But look, my question to, you know, Shabana Mahmood, I think, look, Home Secretary, she's more like the Home Secretarian. Would be very simple today. Is she willing to do the right thing and suspend visas for Pakistan until they start taking back their rapists, their extremists, and stop persecuting 1 million Christians in Pakistan who are indentured in their brick kilns?
Well, Aman, what the Labour government, I'm not saying I would say this, but the Labour government would argue this, right? They are dealing with the problem that was seen, that came in under the Tories, under successive Tory governments since, you know, over the last sort of 7-8 years or so, and they're actually doing something about it. They would say we deported 30,000 people. What do you make of that?
Well, let's break this down a bit, Alex. 30,000 people they claim they deported. Out of that, about 26,000 were people who voluntarily repatriated themselves with £3,000 each of our hard-earned taxpayers' money. They've deported about 5,000 people. That's not a big figure. President Trump is doing that per hour. It can be done. Let's be honest. If we go further afield, Prime Minister Modi had just deported a whole lot of Rohingya extremists from India. And you know what he did? He transported them back to the Andaman and Nicobar Islands and then onto a boat and asked them to get off at the Burmese coastline.
It can be done.
It can be done. But the bottom line here is, Alex, that, look, Labour, it simply cannot be trusted.
There we go. Aman Bogle, political commentator, thank you so much for joining me as ever. Well, coming up, a knife-wielding man who attacked a protester burning a Quran was spared jail yesterday. Is this yet more two-tier justice? All of that and tomorrow's newspaper front pages coming up shortly.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Over the coming days, it should remain mostly dry and a rather settled picture. Still chilly overnight with some fog possible during the early hours of the morning. That's before some rainfall as we head towards the weekend. But the reason it's so dry and settled over the coming days, it's all due to high pressure situated to the northeast of the country. But eventually, we'll start to see some systems move in from the Atlantic. Now through into the evening, it is going to turn chilly as soon as the sun goes down, remaining mostly dry, plenty of clear skies, particularly in the west. So it's likely we'll see some frost here through the early hours of the morning, also some mist and fog, but more cloud across parts of the southeast. So it's not going to turn quite as chilly here, but many towns and cities mostly in the mid to high single figures. So across Scotland to start the day, once again it is going to be fairly chilly, particularly in any rural spots. Mostly dry, though we could start to see some high cloud build in from the west, a very slight chance of some isolated spells of rain here. Northern Ireland and northern parts of England, it should be a mostly dry and bright start, but once again some mist and fog in places, and fairly similar elsewhere across the rest of England and Wales, and still fairly breezy around southeastern coasts too. But through Thursday it'll be fairly similar to what we saw today, mostly dry, plenty of sunny spots spells, wall-to-wall blue skies for many areas. But western parts of Scotland, it is still going to be fairly breezy here, some high cloud pushing in. That will just create hazier spells of sunshine. But for most, it should be a mostly pleasant day. Temperatures will just start to push into the low 20s around the London area, but elsewhere, mid to high teens, and still remaining fairly breezy around southeastern coasts. Through into Friday, once again, another chilly start, some mist and fog patches possible, but more clouds starting to push into the very far southeast. A chance we could see an isolated shower push through, and similar across the far northeast of England, and also Scotland too could see the odd isolated shower. But many, once again, it should be a mostly dry day. That's before a more unsettled picture as we head into Saturday. It's likely we'll see spells of rain and some possible strong winds.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
This is your chance to win a motorhome and cash in our biggest giveaway to date. Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, you could be the proud owner of this 2025 Benamar Primero. It comfortably accommodates 4 people and can be driven on your standard driving licence. Plus, you'll also bank an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend on anything you like. Make sure you don't miss out. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk then? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very easy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Good evening, it's 10 p.m. I'm Alex Armstrong covering for Patrick Christys. Tonight, on the same day that we officially welcome to the UK nearly as many migrants as we've managed to send back to France, this is the line our Home Secretary decided to go with.
I am also worried about the rise of the far right.
Oh, the far right, anyway. Also tonight, the most dangerous ruling I've seen in Britain to date. A knife-wielding Muslim man who attacked a protester burning a Quran outside the Turkish embassy is spared jail. Plus, Foreign criminals paid £2,000 to agree to be deported, and illegal migrants are getting taxpayer-funded taxis. Why are Brits always at the back of the queue? And breaking news on the front page of the Daily Telegraph tonight, Andy Burnham confirms that Labour MPs want him to oust the Prime Minister. Whew, I'll have all of tomorrow's newspaper front pages with my panel, the director of the Popular Conservatives, Mark Littlewood, businessman and activist Adam Brooks, and the journalist Nina Mishkov. And an anti-ICE gunman has shot a migrant dead in America.
Politically motivated violence is wrong. It was 2 weeks ago today that we saw a political assassination in Utah that tore the heart out of much of this country.
Yes, we'll go live to Bev Turner in Washington for all the latest on that story. And your Wednesday night starts right here. So can you get out of prison time if you're a knife-wielding Muslim? Next.
Alex, thank you. The top stories. The first family has arrived in the UK under Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer's one-in, one-out migrant deal with France. The Home Office said the arrival was part of critical first steps under the scheme, following the removal of 4 people from Britain. The incoming party was a family of 3, including a small child. The agreement, which came into force last month, is aimed at deporting migrants who've crossed the English Channel in exchange for allowing those who apply in France and are approved to come to the UK. The government says the newly established legal route for those entering the country includes rigorous documentation as well as eligibility and security checks. In the US, the FBI says a shooting at an immigration facility in Dallas is being investigated as an act of targeted violence. Donald Trump has described the attacker as deranged and the shooting as despicable. Police said 3 detainees were shot, 2 had died and 1 was in a critical condition. The attacker also died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Officials have named the suspect as 29-year-old Joshua Jan. FBI Director Kash Patel posted a photo on X of unused ammunition recovered from the scene. On one casing has the phrase anti-ICE on it. Volodymyr Zelensky addressed the United Nations General Assembly today, opening his speech by saying only we can guarantee our own security. He said the Russian president will keep driving the Ukraine war wider and deeper unless he is stopped. He added the world is living through the most destructive arms race in human history and that because international institutions are too weak, Russia's madness continues.
Estonia had to call a UN Security Council meeting for the first time in history because Russian fighter jets deliberately entered its airspace. Moldova is defending itself again from Russia's interference. We are helping Moldova, and Russia's trying to do to Moldova what Iran once did to Lebanon. And the global response, again, not enough.
Zelensky was speaking after US President Donald Trump shifted his position on the Russia-Ukraine war, saying for the first time that Ukraine could win all of its land back. Donald Trump called Russia a paper tiger in big economic trouble, but he stopped short of pledging more US funding or weapons for Ukraine. Russia has hit back, insisting Moscow is more than a paper tiger. And doctors in London say Huntington's, one of the cruelest brain diseases, has been successfully treated for the first time. The disease runs through families, relentlessly kills brain cells, resembles a combination of dementia, Parkinson's and motor neuron disease. A new gene therapy slowed the condition by 75%, giving patients decades more good quality life. One trial patient has even returned to work. Those are the latest headlines. For now, more from me in an hour.
For all the latest from GB News whilst you're on the go, get the GB News app. Scan the QR code now to download or visit gbnews.com/app.
A knife-wielding Muslim man who attacked a free speech, anti-Islamist, anti-extremism protester who was burning a Quran outside the Turkish embassy has been let off, in my opinion, with a suspended sentence and community service hours. Musa Chowdhury, who slashed at Hamit Kuskun with a blade in broad daylight, gets a measly 20-week suspended sentence. No jail time, just a bit of unpaid work and a few rehabilitation sessions. Meanwhile, Kuskun, who dared to exercise his free speech, is dragged through the courts, labelled a hate monger and treated like a criminal for burning a book. The judge found Kuskun guilty of a religiously aggravated public order offence in June, noting his actions in burning the Quran were highly provocative and that he was motivated, at least in part, by hatred of Muslims. But in my view, it's very clear what the conviction of Kuskun meant. The judiciary seems to want to introduce blasphemy laws with no vote in Parliament through the back door, specifically for Muslims. The attacker, Mr. Chowdhury, didn't just lose his temper, nor did he call the police. He came flying out of a building, threatening to kill Mr. Kuskun, shouting, "I'm coming back and I'm going to kill you now." He then went to grab a knife and slashed at Mr. Kuskun repeatedly. He then proceeded to chase him down the street in Knightsbridge, where Mr. Kuskun fell to the floor and was repeatedly kicked and then spat on. And what do you think Mr. Chowdhury's reasoning for this was? Well, he told police, "I want to protect my religion." Well, the judge told Mr. Chowdhury the knife could have caused serious injury. Even if you never had any intention to stab him, your actions were wholly unacceptable. When armed with a knife, there is always a possibility of serious injury or death. Well, after hearing that, you'd expect a tough line and punishment for Mr. Chowdhury, wouldn't you? No. The judge saw no reason for an immediate custodial sentence, having observed the mitigation and accepted his remorse. So there you have it. A dangerous, knife-wielding thug who threatens to kill somebody, violently attacks them in public, all because they were offended, now will not see a minute behind bars. And just remember, Lucy Connolly only wrote a tweet. Yes, a tweet. Lord Toby Young of the Free Speech Union nailed it. He said this: "This sends a green light to any Muslim who wants to enforce an Islamic blasphemy by taking the law into their own hands." Well, at his trial, Mr. Kuskun argued that he had been protesting against the Islamist government of Erdogan, the president of Turkey, not individual followers of Islam. And the judge ordered Kuskun, who fled his home country of Turkey 2.5 years ago to escape persecution, to pay a fine of only £240 with a statutory charge of £96. But let's talk about the knife crime epidemic while we're at it, shall we? Because the judge in Mr. Chowdhury's case had previously called the use of blades a curse on our communities. Yet here we are, letting a man who wielded a knife in a vicious attack stroll out of court without a day behind bars. Over 50,000 knife crime offences were recorded in England and Wales last year. And what do rulings like this show? They show that our spineless justice system is the most dangerous part of our society. And this ruling, in my very strong opinion, is the most dangerous ruling I've seen in Britain to date. And do you know what I'm worried about coming next? I'm sure you are at home too. Islamophobia laws. An advisor to the Attorney General has already warned a definition of Islamophobia could deter police from investigating Muslim offenders. Think about the impact it could have on activist judges and lawyers. There must be proper punishment for those who decide to attack another person with a knife in our country, regardless of whether they are offended or not. It doesn't matter. Free speech and the right to peaceful protest, no matter how offensive it is to your religion or to your values, is part of British society and our culture. Well, I want to get the thoughts of my panel on this. The Director of Popular Conservatism, Mark Littlewood, businessman and political activist Adam Brooks, and journalist Nina Mishkov. Thank you all very much. Now, Mark, this case really shocked me because not only was it a free speech case, I believe it was also a blasphemy case, and it was also a case on knife crime. It was 3 things rolled into one. And no matter, in my opinion, whether or not you are offended by somebody, there is never an excuse to use a knife to attack somebody.
Yeah, I mean, one way of looking at it is this, isn't it? We've got, in rough numbers, 100,000 people behind bars in Britain. It seems to me absolutely amazing this chap isn't one of them. Violent crime should be typically what we're putting people in prison for. You mentioned Lucy Connolly's tweet. That was 31 months. I know she didn't serve all of it in prison. And I think a useful thought experiment could be this. Imagine, instead of that being burning the Quran outside the Turkish embassy, it had been an incident at a football match, and somebody from the red team burnt the blue team's shirt, and a fan of the blue team got a knife out, and that happened. One suspects the custodial sentence would be automatic, isn't it? I mean, it's impossible to know for sure, but it just doesn't smell right. And if you can behave like that and get, what did you say, a few £100 fine and a suspended sentence, the legal system and the criminal justice system in this country has gone potty. If that is not an imprisonable crime, I don't know what is.
Yeah, Adam, you're a knife crime campaigner, aren't you? You've been looking after this issue for a very, very long time, and this is one of the things that really got me about it. When you see the footage of how he's wielding the knife and slashing at this man who's on the floor, defenceless, by the way, you ask yourself, are we now sending a message out to people who want to wield knives that they can do this as long as they're offended religiously?
100%, because only a few months ago, myself and Norman Brennan, who's a former police officer, we had a petition for 5-year mandatory sentences for carrying a knife in public without good reason, lawful reason. Now, this man, under our law, and I believe Lee Anderson is on board with what we're saying as well, under reform, that man would go straight to jail for 5 years, and rightfully so. Lucy Connolly is not a danger to society. She made a mistake, she broke a law, but she could have got away with a community order. She's no danger to anyone in her street or in society. This man clearly is. If the guy that he was swinging that knife at had been better at fighting back, someone would have been stabbed there, trust me. It was the fact that he went down, but then we see repeated kicks, one to the head, I believe. That can be fatal, a kick to the head. He spat on him. So we've got spitting, we've got kicking, we've got threats to kill, and we've got a man wielding a large knife. He should be behind bars for at least 5 to 7 years, in my opinion. There is no justification for this sentence at all. And as you say, it sets a dangerous precedent. Young people, youths, are going to be looking at that and thinking, right, if I get in trouble, I'm going to say I'm a Muslim, or if I am a Muslim, I'm going to hide behind that excuse. That is a dangerous precedent that's just been sent, and this country is worse for it.
Nina, one of my bigger concerns, of course, is this blasphemy law through the back door. This is what many in the Conservative Party are out saying today as well. And it does seem to feel that way. We did get rid of blasphemy laws in this country, and I don't care what religion you are. You know, members of my immediate family are Muslims, and I wouldn't ever allow them to get away with an excuse like, I'm only wielding a knife because you offended me because of my religion. I think that is a really terrible defence, but it seems to me this is a very, very weak sentencing from the judiciary. What do you make of it all?
I agree. I think that it proves to me once again that religion is at the heart of almost every problem that we have today. It has been since the dawn of time. So, and I am not at all religious. I was christened a Catholic, but dumped that when I was in my teens, and I have seen no reason to go back to it. If people want to pray and do whatever, that's up to them. But I just don't buy into it. I reckon that this guy had a knife, and therefore he should have had some kind of... This was a very lenient sentence, put it that way. I don't agree with Adam that it's 5 to 7 years. It may also, but I don't think that's far too long. But I also think of the practicalities and the pragmatic side of things. Our prisons are full. So, is there a place for him somewhere? I mean, that's the point.
Nina, just to ask you, because this is a question many people will be asking at home. Do you think it was because of his religion, because he was a Muslim, that he got off lightly because there's a bit of pussyfooting around this issue?
No, I don't see that. I don't see that it is at all. I mean, if you were to say burning a Christian Bible, but that hasn't happened. So we're making a supposition, and to prejudge that is to expose a prejudice.
Yeah. Mark, what do you make of this sort of backdoor blasphemy law stuff? Because that's where my concern is here.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think you're right to be sensitive to that. I think you're right to point it out. It's hard to know for sure, isn't it? So I think you've got to look at the crime on its merits, or rather its demerits, and work out what you think should happen. I just looked up the statistics. There's about 134,000 sentences for violence against the person each year. Those figures are from 3 years ago, but I don't think they've changed much. That's about 20% of all offenders sentenced, and about 40% of those go straight into custody. How is that not in the worst 40%? That's surely in the worst 40% of violent crimes.
As well, isn't it? It's so public.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen the whole video. It must be in the top 40%. So that gets one scratching one's head and saying, well, what was the exceptional nature of this case? And then you start to think the exceptional nature of this case is it involves Islam and the Quran. And you start to reach that conclusion, don't you?
Let's also remember last year, the summer riots, there was footage of a police officer telling local Muslim men to go and put their weapons back in the mosque. Now, again, if that was the other side, that was the counter-protest. If that was the side of the riot, there is no way that a police officer would say to Englishmen or Christian or whatever, go
how do you know? They could have said,
put your weapons back in your houses or whatever. That's not going to happen.
How do you know? They could say, go home and take that with you.
Get in the real world.
Yeah, no, come on. I mean, I don't see why not.
People who are equipped with dangerous weapons.
But then do you say that? Well, so what weapons did the Muslims have?
Well, I can't believe
well, you don't know.
Well,
so
the police officer said
and did they take their weapons back if there were weapons?
I believe so.
And was that a good thing to do then?
No, they should have been arrested.
Well, exactly.
Well, you don't know what the weapons were. You don't know what the weapons were.
There's weaponry on a street, isn't it? I mean, I think that what's gone wrong.
Aren't we talking about knives there?
What's gone wrong here is the instinctive British sense of politeness, which we should preserve, but we generally don't want to go around crassly offending people's religious predilections or political views. You know, we're generally a very, very polite bunch of people. But that needs to be policed socially, in society, with people saying, oh, that went a bit far, you really shouldn't have said that. It can't be policed through the law. And we have allowed our intrinsic polite attitudes to basically lead us into a scenario where offending people becomes illegal.
But the thing is, I don't think any blasphemy laws are coming in at all. There's a completely retrograde state taking us back to the Middle Ages. It would be utter nonsense if they were.
I think once reform gets in, they've got to look at serious violent crimes have to do the time now, and things like low-level fraud and that maybe a tag. We need to buy more tags, and the low-level criminals out of prison, and the harmful ones, the violent ones,
keep religion out of it.
Put them in. Yeah, religion for me, you know.
A little bit of consensus on the panel, I think, in many respects on this case. And I just think people will be scratching their heads over this at home, going, "How on earth have that person got away? Mr. Casual got away with such a lenient sentence?" It's bonkers to me. But anyway, in his ruling on Hamit to Josh Kuhn's case, Judge McGarver said he did not view the case as an attempt to expand blasphemy laws. He said that burning a religious book, although offensive to some, was not necessarily disorderly, but that other factors, including Islamophobic comments, were made in police interviews, made it so on this occasion. All right, well, time for the Great British Giveaway now, and there's still plenty of time for you to become our biggest winner to date. You've got that 4-berth motorhome, and you can bank 30k in tax-free cash. Surprise package are worth over 104 grand. Here's the details.
You're not going to want to miss our greatest Great British Giveaway so far. You could bank an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. And if that wasn't enough, you'll also get to drive away in this brand new motorhome. With thanks to Marquis Leisure, this brand new 2025 Benamar Primero could be yours. It comes with all the mod cons you'd expect from a vehicle worth over £74,000 and comfortably sleeps 4 people. This prize package is worth over £104,000. And remember, if you can dream it, you can drive it away. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. The winner will be contacted live on GB News, week commencing 10th November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Good luck, everybody. Well, coming up, I'll have all of tomorrow's newspaper front pages, and there's some breaking news on the front page of The Telegraph, I believe. Andy Burnham says Labour MPs have instructed him to oust the Prime Minister. And he's not ruling it out either. But before that...
I think out of context, obviously, it's not great. It doesn't look good.
Yes, that was Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood reacting to the news that foreign criminals are being paid up to £2,000 to agree to be deported. No, it doesn't look good, does it? Why are Brits always at the back of the queue? That's next.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
Are you panicking when you're in Northern Ireland when you go out and about because there is a lack of chargers?
Well, listen, I'm really pro-EV, and we've had the odd issue with broken EV chargers, in particular yesterday at both Ballymoney at Beasties and also over at Dunsily. We had issues with chargers, but the charging infrastructure is used very rarely. My mother, for example, she has overnight charging at home. She's never used a public charger, and she's had the car for 3 years.
Yeah.
So if you've got that domestic overnight charging, it's cheap. It's very affordable if you buy a 2-year-old EV, and they are absolutely the way forward. I'm a Yorkshireman. I don't like parting with my brass. I want to get cheap motoring, and for less than a penny a mile and a car for less than 20 grand to start with, you know, it sounds a bit blasé saying £20,000, but relative to what these cars are new, they're incredible value for money, and we're seeing mass adoption. There's a garage in Richmond in North Yorkshire that sells more than half of the cars they sell are electric vehicles, and that's in a rural Dales area. So it's about having that domestic overnight charging and not having to rely on public infrastructure.
Danny, where it doesn't convince me at all is, right, so I'm living in London and I want to go to see Manchester United, and I might get there, but am I going to get back down again? Or worse still, if I'm not on full charge, I'm going to miss kickoff because I'm going to have to rely on a public charger somewhere. So is that the sort of anxiety? I mean, you were talking about range anxiety there, Ellie. Is that the sort of anxiety people have? I mean, I genuinely have that. Despite what we were hearing there from Fraser.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
To every politician who is using rhetoric, demonizing ICE and demonizing CBP, stop. To every politician demanding that ICE agents be doxxed and calling for people to go after their families, stop.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys tonight with me, Alex Armstrong. That was Texan Senator Ted Cruz speaking after a migrant was shot dead by an anti-ICE gunman in Dallas, Texas earlier today. We'll go live to Bev Turner in Washington, D.C. shortly with all of that information. But first, it emerged today some foreign criminals are being paid up to £2,000 to agree to be deported. Nearly 50 foreign national offenders were filmed by ITV News being taken from immigration removal centres to be flown back to Romania, where they were each given cards preloaded with up to £2,000. It comes on the same day, of course, that ministers were forced to act after it emerged that illegal migrants have been using taxpayer-funded taxis to get to and from NHS appointments. Well, to talk about this, I am joined by what I consider a hero here, John Rudat, who was attacked by migrants in Germany last month as he heroically defended a woman on the public transport there. John, thank you so much for joining me in the studio this time. The last time we spoke, which was about a month ago now, you were still
Hospital still, yep, just coming out.
Can you just very briefly remind the audience what happened?
So about on August 24th, I intervened in a violent situation where I saw a woman getting abused on a tram in Germany while I was out with one of my friends and my host brother at the time. And I saw her being assaulted, initially intervened with the attacker on her, and then out of nowhere to my right, another attacker, an assailant that wasn't even involved in the altercation. The woman just decided he was going to slash my face and run off.
Incredible. And you stepped in, of course, and you stepped in, you saved that woman, and I know the audience who were watching at the time were calling you a hero, are calling you for you to get a medal, which I still hope you get, by the way. We'll keep pressuring Trump to get you that medal, I hope, John. Now, listen, when we talk about the migration crisis here in the UK, you've obviously got this unique perspective because you've seen what's going on in America. We've seen this political violence that's been kicking off. And most of that, or a lot of that, is coming from a big push by Donald Trump to deport illegal migrants. He's deported 2 million, he claims, in 250 days. Now, it's a pretty sad state here in the United Kingdom. We've been flooded full of migrants, and Germany, where you were attacked, of course. What do you see as this sort of juxtaposition of America and Europe at this time?
I think that Donald Trump has been very decisive in his measures to solve the immigration problem, or at least put a dent in the massive problem that's been spanning many years now in the USA. And it's refreshing to have a president that actually addresses this, that doesn't just push it aside, make campaign promises for one thing and then do another. Trump is sticking to his word, and for that I very much thank and support him for doing this. And especially when we get down to it, I mean, we have the immigrants that come to the country and support the economy, get jobs, make businesses, facilitate all this good growth for the country. I mean, the United States is a country built on immigration, right? Immigration is a good thing to some regard, but violent immigration is an entirely different story that you, Britain, UK, Germany, the USA, we're all facing. And I hope some policies that Trump has right now can be seen in here as well.
Yeah, we're paying some migrants to leave this country, which is a very different approach to what Donald Trump seems to be doing. I mean, I think there has been some incentive for some of them over there, but he has basically rounded people up and taken a very hard line. And, you know, at the United Nations the other day, Donald Trump was saying, no one's coming in. No one's coming in. We've stopped them all. Do you think Europe needs to get a grip? I mean, were you shocked when you came to Europe and you saw what? Were you shocked by the immigration crisis here? Was it visible to you?
I was, and it was very visible. 2 years ago, when I spent about 3 years ago, when I spent my study abroad year in Germany and lived there, it was an entirely different city. I felt an entirely different way, and clearly articulated to me by the people. They felt an entirely different way as well. I'm not the only one that's seen a big change. The entirety of Germany has seen a big change. The entirety of Europe has seen a big change. And we've felt it, and we've been injured by it as well.
Indeed. And when we look back to America now, are you hopeful that this will sort of start the beginning of a new America, a tougher America? Because, as you said, immigration is the foundation of America, but you have had porous borders. Are you hoping that this will be the start of something new? Because obviously with every new president, there are new rules. And another president come in, like Biden did, and said, you know what, stop building that wall. We're just going to allow it to continue. Do you think this will be something permanent now that the American people want?
I hope so. I dearly hope so. I hope Trump puts in place good measures and good policy to secure American borders and therefore secure the safety of American people.
And talking about you again, if you don't mind, John.
Of course.
Has there been any follow-up on your case in Germany at all? Have you heard anything from the authorities there? Have you been giving any reassurances, or is there any progress on that you want to share?
I have had no formal acknowledgement by the authorities since I got back to the USA.
Wow, nothing at all?
Nothing.
Nothing at all.
Nothing
Are you trying to get in touch with them?
No, I haven't taken the effort to. I'd assume so that they would contact me.
Yeah.
The representatives that would be facilitating a case like this or facilitating the information like gathering and exchange between me, I don't quite know them, so I'd expect for them to reach out to me first, right?
Yeah, that's absolutely bonkers. It genuinely is insane to me that they won't follow up. What is a serious crime?
Yeah.
Serious crime committed against you. Are you going to try and pursue any legal action?
I'm not sure or familiar of the legal action I could pursue as I was in Germany. The situation would be very different, like, you know, given if we were in the USA, there's different legal authority, different legal practice. So hopefully there is some legal action. If there is, I do tend to pursue it.
Good.
Yes.
And what's been the reception for you since this whole crazy thing happened to you? Has it changed your life?
Oh, it's definitely changed my life. It's definitely thrown me into the public eye more so than I had expected, but if this is my calling, then I'm meant to do it, and I'll do it with pride as much as I wear this scar with pride, kind of thing.
Absolutely right. John, listen, you're an absolute hero. Our audience love you, genuinely. So thank you so much for coming in, and thank you for being so brave in doing what you did. And listen, I wish you all the best. Hope you stay in touch with us.
Thank you
and
so
back
much.
in the UK again, we'd love to hear more from you.
It's been a pleasure.
John Rudap, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you so much, Alex.
Thank you. OK, well, coming up, I'll have all of tomorrow's newspaper front pages, and there's some breaking news on the front page of The Telegraph. Andy Burnham says Labour MPs have instructed him to oust Prime Minister Keir Starmer. And guess what? He's not ruling it out. Plus, more breaking news on the front page of The Sun. An Afghan migrant who apparently fled the Taliban has been caught travelling back to his home country, get this, for a holiday. So much for being a genuine refugee, hey? All of that in just a few minutes.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GBNews Travel Destinations Forecast.
Western and central parts of Europe will start to see any heavy downpours easing away, though some scattered showers will still remain. That's not so much the case across the Canary Islands, Madeira, also Spain and Portugal. Mostly settled here, largely dry, plenty of sunny spells. But across France, even into parts of Germany, we could still see some isolated showers remain. But through Italy, the Adriatic coastline and also parts of Greece remaining settled, dry with sunny spells, though we could start to see more showers over the weekend.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GBNews Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Over the coming days, it should remain mostly dry and a rather settled picture. Still chilly overnight with some fog possible during the early hours of the morning. That's before some rainfall as we head towards the weekend. But the reason it's so dry and settled over the coming days, it's all due to high pressure situated to the northeast of the country. But eventually, we'll start to see some systems move in from the Atlantic. Now through into the evening, it is going to turn chilly as soon as the sun goes down, remaining mostly dry, plenty of clear skies, particularly in the west. So it's likely we'll see some frost here through the early hours of the morning, also some mist and fog, but more cloud across parts of the southeast. So it's not going to turn quite as chilly here, but many towns and cities mostly in the mid to high single figures. So across Scotland to start the day, once again, it is going to be fairly chilly, particularly in any rural spots. Mostly dry, though we could start to see some high cloud build in from the west. A very slight chance of some isolated spells of rain here. Northern Ireland and northern parts of England, it should be a mostly dry and bright start, but once again, some mist and fog in places, and fairly similar elsewhere across the rest of England and Wales, and still fairly breezy around southeastern coasts too. But through Thursday, it'll be fairly similar to what we saw today. Mostly dry, plenty of sunny spells, wall-to-wall blue skies for many areas. But western parts of Scotland, it is still going to be fairly breezy here, some high cloud pushing in. That'll just create hazier spells of sunshine. But for most, it should be a mostly pleasant day. Temperatures will just start to push into the low 20s around the London area, but elsewhere mid to high teens, and still remaining fairly breezy around southeastern coasts. Through into Friday, once again, another chilly start, some mist and fog patches possible, but more clouds starting to push into the very far southeast. A chance we could see an isolated shower push through, and similar across the far northeast of England, and also Scotland too could see the odd isolated shower. But many, once again, it should be a mostly dry day. That's before a more unsettled picture as we head into Saturday. It's likely we'll see spells of rain and some possible strong winds.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits. You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
And
say,
now you've lost it. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless. But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show. Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back, everybody. I have your newspaper front pages hot off the press. Shall we get started? The Daily Telegraph. Burnham, MPs want me to oust Starmer. Oh, there's a common theme here, by the way, guys. The Independent. Burnham launches blistering attack on divisive Starmer. The Daily Mail. Starmer's top aide was told by election watchdog that donations had to be declared. The Metro. Khan, Trump must have a crush on me. The Daily Express. The country is sick of activist judges. Well, that's what we're going to start tonight so far, and I don't think we can avoid. I mean, so far it's a little bit of a bloodbath again for Keir Starmer. He can't seem to keep his name out of the headlines for all the wrong reasons. Andy Burnham, quite grandee in the Labour Party, is basically being told by Labour MPs, Mark, that they want him to go. They want him to get a seat and get rid of him.
Yeah, I mean, he's no longer on manoeuvres. This is all-out war,
yes.
Right? This isn't a training exercise behind the lines. I've read the summary of his interview with Telegraph. He seems to be putting forward a left of Starmer ticket. The 50p top rate of tax would be back, as if we haven't chased off enough millionaires already. Property would be hit hard for tax, particularly in London and the South East. In the New Statesman, appearing on the front page of a New Statesman was also a sign that he's launching a leadership bid. He suggested that he might work with Jeremy Corbyn. I mean, this is quite an attack. Now, the question that's still puzzling me is how on earth does he bring it about? He's not eligible to run. He is the Mayor of Manchester. He is not a Member of Parliament. You need to be a Member of Parliament to be the leader of the Labour Party. You basically need to be a Member of Parliament to be Prime Minister. So how's he going to pull that one off? Because I'm not totally sure that a parliamentary by-election anywhere in the country at the moment could be won by the Labour Party. So that's the bit of the puzzle that I can't really see linking together. Although it's worth saying there's a deputy leadership election going on, and it looks like, from the polling data we've got, that the Burnham ally, Lucy Powell, will win it.
Really? Does it? I thought Phillipson might.
No, but she's on about 60% support,
right.
And Phillipson's on about 40% support. Right. So that could be a dry run for Burnham versus Starmer. That's a Burnham ally against a Starmer ally.
Very interesting. Yeah, Azim, the Independent are reporting here that Burnham has said that the PM has a very factional approach and has no plan. Of course, we are days away from Labour Party conference, aren't we? It's the front page of the Independent.
Let's not beat around the bush. Keir Starmer is the most hated Prime Minister of my lifetime. I haven't met someone out there that has a good word to say about him. He is hated by many on the left, on the right and in the centre. This man, if there was an election tomorrow, they'd be wiped out, Labour.
I think you're right.
I've been telling people that Andy Burnham, because we've got mutual friends, isn't that much to worry about. But reading this, this is terrifying. I mean, working with Jeremy Corbyn, a 50p top rate of tax. You're going to drive out more high earners, and kill this country. But one thing I will say, if there's any more scandals within this Labour Party, any more corruption, this Labour government could collapse.
Well, that's what that's on the other front pages we'll get to.
What happens now? If they lose one or more cabinet ministers in the next 3 months, which is possible, because there's definitely scandals waiting to come to the surface, they could collapse this government.
This is, I mean, I agree with Adam personally. Politically, this would be, in my opinion, a complete disaster having someone as left-wing as Andy Burnham. However, Labour Party members, and I speak to many of them, some of them here, are fed up. They wanted a Labour Party government. They're saying they're getting continuity Sunak, so to speak, and that the government aren't going far enough on the left-wing agenda. So perhaps what Andy Burnham is doing here is quite smart. He's setting himself up as the left candidate.
First of all, this is the worst-kept secret in the world. No, seriously, it's been going for years, absolute years. Every time there's been anything to talk about, Andy Burnham, who should be, you know, concerned with up there in Manchester, pops up in his, you know, casual, you know, sweater and looking like a cool guy, putting his, you know, tuppence worth in. A lot of the new Labour intake from last year are younger members. Who may have enormous sort of philanthropic ideas and have not yet been fired in the full heat of politics. Quite frankly, when they rebelled against the welfare reforms that were proposed, you needed to get them in a room and say, look, you know, I know you're possibly young enough to have another career after this is over. And so you don't, you know, so you're going full gun on your principles. But wouldn't you rather be part of a Labour government, or would you rather be in opposition?
Yeah, well, that horse has bolted, hasn't it?
Yeah. Well, the thing is that they're just not being sensible about it. They're not. And Adam, I have to say to you, Adam, it's wishful thinking. You know, your hatred of Keir Starmer knows no bounds.
Hatred of.
Well, I would put Margaret Thatcher as somebody who was.
You're talking 50 years ago or 40 years ago. We're talking now.
Well, I'm saying, how old are you, Adam?
I'm 45.
OK, fair enough. That's fair enough. But I remember Margaret Thatcher and how soundly she was hated. So people do exist like that. But
there is a handful. Interestingly, on Keir Starmer, I mean, I think that the latest polls put his negatives at 42%. That's to say that 42% more people disapprove of him than approve of him. And his approval rating, people are saying, yes, I approve of the job that this man is doing as Prime Minister, is somewhere just above 10%, maybe 15%.
Yep. 12, I think.
Margaret Thatcher never got that low. She was loathed by a lot of people, but she was loved by a lot of people. The problem for Starmer is it seems that only 1 in 10, maybe 1 in 8 Brits approve of how he's doing his job. That's a very, very low base of loyalist support.
But the thing is...
Can I just ask, because like, this is what... when you start seeing front pages like this, this is what I expect...
At the end.
At the end. This is what you think after 10, 14 years of government, the divisions in a party are so out there that you start seeing people go, I might be the next leader here.
But the thing is... wishful thinking on your part, Adam, that, you know, they are in, if they want to be, they are in for another 4 years.
From not being in.
No. But two scandals are not going to get them out, because they can only be voted out. There's no other way. How can they collapse?
I think
you cannot get them out.
We are very likely, just because of the sheer maths, to have a Labour government of some iteration until 2028 or 2029. Why would they call an early election when they would lose virtually all of their seats?
Turkeys for Christmas, they don't do it.
The only potential exception to that, and I wouldn't bet the ranch on this, is politics is so febrile at the moment. So many different realignments are happening on both sides of the political ledger that if 60 or 70 Labour MPs decided to make a break for it, hook up with Zara Sultana, Jeremy Corbyn or the Green Party, or form some sort of alliance and decide that if they ran on a deep red /green rosette, they'd stand a better chance. It would take 70 or 80 of them to deprive Labour of their majority. Don't think that's going to happen, but I don't rule it out completely.
Just cast our minds back to Boris Johnson, because I'm thinking of the one that's most similar to this. We must. Because Boris didn't resign as a vote of no confidence. He resigned because the ministers around him says, look, you've got to go. And he started to get resignations. Rachel Reeves is probably going to deliver the toughest budget we've ever had, well, at least in modern memory, for a very long time to the public. she might go, do you know what? I don't want to be the patsy here. I mean, he's basically running the Treasury out of number 10 now.
But there's a big difference here, right? That brought down Boris Johnson as Prime Minister. It didn't cause a general election.
Yes, that's right.
So
that's right.
If Keir Starmer were to find himself, he's a long way from this position yet, but were to find himself in a position in which he couldn't populate his cabinet and he couldn't populate the junior ministerial benches, he would have to go. But that doesn't force a general election.
No, exactly.
That forces Labour.
Because after Boris, we had Liz Truss and then we had Rishi Sunak.
It's
So
not just the job that he's doing, Keir Starmer. He's unrelatable to the average person. His monotone voice, the way he looks, the way he acts.
Lack of charisma, we know that.
He's like a robot, and people hate that. They want charisma. They do want that in a Prime Minister.
I mean, I don't see how he could lead the country into a general election, but you never know, right? You just don't know these days. Anyway, coming up, we'll have more from tomorrow's front pages, and frankly, it's not looking good for Keir Starmer on any of them. But there's also some breaking news on the front page of The Sun. An Afghan migrant has gone on holiday to Afghanistan. Oh, who could have predicted it? That's next.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK, we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News, the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast. Every day from 6 a.m.
Liz Mitchell, MBE, gracing us with her presence on the sofa this morning. Liz, so good to have you with us.
I am happy to be here.
You have the most incredible voice, a voice of a generation. The whole disco era is down to you. What do you think has made your songs so timeless? I mean, everybody knows them, don't they?
Everybody
knows them. Everybody.
One thing I'm very grateful for is the temper of our music, because it seems to be very friendly, warming, and even our slow songs. I was playing one just the other day for my 2-year-old grandson, and he said, more. I was so happy.
I'm with him on that. There's a real sense with your music, though, that it is uplifting.
Yes.
And you feel happy listening to it. I mean, despite whatever it is you're singing about, almost, it's just there's a joy to it.
Yes, and that is really a gift, I think, that most artists would want to have, is that when they make their music that is lasting and that is bringing happiness to people. Because for me, that's the whole point of singing. You know, you should be able to make the people you're entertaining feel happy, hear something good, forget the pain for a moment and just want to dance and just feel good.
And Boney M music is all over TikTok, isn't it? It's being remixed all the time. How do you feel watching your music being reinvented like that?
It is really wonderful. This has been going on since the 90s, even before the 90s, people were remixing our songs. So it's the uniqueness of the vocals, because that's what is given to them, just the plain vocals, and then they put new music on it, and it still sounds like Boney M.
The People's Channel.
Miriam, you can't be serious. Scrapping the triple lock on state pensions? Madness.
Andrew, we just can't carry on pretending. The numbers just don't add up. We've got to be honest with people. We've got to face the facts. That's what people want.
Well, that's what you get on GB News and on Britain's Newsroom. Lively debates, lively conversation.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first, and we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. Should we go through some more front pages? Why not? Let's start with The Sun, shall we? Afghan refugee goes to holidays to Afghanistan. We'll be talking about that imminently. The Guardian, PM gambles on new levelling up funding to tackle rise of reform. Let's see how well that goes down. The Times, pressure on PM to lift two-child benefit cap. Is there any money left, frankly? The Eye, sudden hope. Breakthrough gene therapy can treat Huntington's for first time. The Daily Mirror, Strictly Star, Thomas and the unpaid 50k COVID loan. It's not been a good couple of weeks for him, has it? The Daily Star, Rue, I'd be dead without Colleen. All right, let's... should we get dug into the Sun here? Because, you know, a lot of people will be out there going, actually, some people will say, I don't mind having refugees in the country. They're fleeing war-torn countries. But when you see the front page of the Sun, Afghan refugee goes on hold to Afghanistan, then we let him back in. It makes a mockery, doesn't it, Mark?
Well, I mean, I don't know whether to laugh or cry. It is so ludicrous. I'm fleeing terror. I can't possibly go back to my home country. I'll be hung, drawn and quartered. Actually, if you don't mind, I'll go sightseeing there for a few weeks and then come back to Britain. I mean, it is one story, it is one incident, but it shows how our entire system is a complete joke. I mean, an absolute laughingstock. The idea that this could happen even once is ridiculous and a total national embarrassment.
Yeah,
this isn't just happening once. You know, I've been calling this out for 7 or 8 years. We are being gamed massively. The majority of these people coming across on dinghies and claiming asylum are economic migrants. They just simply want to come here.
That's not true.
No, Nina, please don't, because once you told me these were all doctors, scientists and engineers coming across. Yes, you did.
I didn't say that.
You even said one coming across the channel might treat my kids for cancer in various
That's true, you don't know.
Come on, let's get in the real world. We are being
in the real world.
Massively in this country. And for someone to claim asylum from the terror of their homeland, you do not go back on holiday. This is a joke. He should have his visa or his whatever it is ripped up, and we should stick him on the first plane back there, because these people need to start getting the message that we're not an easy touch, and I don't think that's going to happen under Labour.
Nina, because this is the crux of it, isn't it? People see stories like this and they go, yes, if there's one, there's probably hundreds, maybe thousands of them. What do you make of this story?
Well, I can only see the 2 paragraphs of it. I haven't seen the full story, so that may not be the thing. He may be going back to see his dying mum. Who knows? None of us knows that.
They are saying sightseeing here. I mean, that's what the Sun are reporting. That's as far as we can... Just so the audience know, the Sun are reporting that he went sightseeing and returned for 8 weeks. That's all we know, Nina.
Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. Yeah. No, it's not good. I don't agree with it. But the thing is, I would like to counter the point that they're all economic migrants.
They're not. Most of them, Nina.
No, that's not most of them, because
most of them. Get in the real world, please.
Hang on a minute. Can you just let me finish? And don't tell me to get in the real world. I am in the real world.
You're not.
How am I not in the real world?
Respectfully, you're not. You do not know what's going on.
What do you mean? I don't know what's going on.
No.
That's really insulting. That's really insulting. Can I just say what I
speak on this, Nina, because this is a national emergency.
I notice that you don't ever interrupt Mark or Alex. It's only a woman you interrupt.
1 second. You've got the audacity to say that I interrupt you. You've spent years interrupting me.
Oh, come on. Can I just finish?
The audience want to know about this story, so I want to focus on the story.
Can I make my point? Can I make my point? My point is that the majority of asylum seekers, over 50%, 60%, are granted asylum. They are not economic migrants. So it doesn't mean that the majority are economic migrants. They are not.
Right. We grant 65 to 70% of our asylum claims. France are about 25%. We've clearly got idiots in the Home Office, and no disrespect, idiots out there that believe these people are asylum seekers. The public knows we are being gamed, and it's time now to speak up or ruin our country.
Mark.
Well, I mean, look, the issue here is if you put your hand up and say, you can't possibly send me home, my life and limb will be in danger.
I agree.
We tend to give you the benefit of the doubt. And it shouldn't just be my homeland's a little bit iffy. There's a few problems there. If your homeland is so safe that you return there for 8 weeks, even if it is to visit your dying mother or some similar issue, that is not a ground for asylum. So this guy lied. He did not believe his life was in danger. And to my mind, that shows, as Adam rightly says, the softness of the system. We are too credulous in believing the claims of people that they are fleeing for their lives. If they're actually going back home on holiday, we are...
The Home Office is not fit for purpose.
Nina and Mark are going to be joining me later. 5-second round-up from you, Adam. What do you make of it all?
What, of this?
Yeah.
Well, it's a national emergency. Without action, without getting rid of our Home Office staff at the moment, we're in banging trouble.
OK, right. Don't go anywhere. I've got loads more to go through. Is the Strictly Star, Thomas Skinner, in big trouble? Is the Prime Minister finished? Join us in a moment.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Over the coming days, it should remain mostly dry and a rather settled picture. Still chilly overnight with some fog possible during the early hours of the morning. That's before some rainfall as we head towards the weekend. But the reason it's so dry and settled over the coming days, it's all due to high pressure situated to the northeast of the country. But eventually, we'll start to see some systems move in from the Atlantic. Now through into the evening, it is going to turn chilly as soon as the sun goes down, remaining mostly dry, plenty of clear skies, particularly in the west. So it's likely we'll see some frost here through the early hours of the morning, also some mist and fog, but more cloud across parts of the southeast. So it's not going to turn quite as chilly here, but many towns and cities mostly in the mid to high single figures. So across Scotland to start the day, once again it is going to be fairly chilly, particularly in any rural spots. Mostly dry, though we could start to see some high cloud build in from the west, a very slight chance of some isolated spells of rain here. Northern Ireland and northern parts of England, it should be a mostly dry and bright start, but once again some mist and fog in places, and fairly similar elsewhere across the rest of England and Wales, and still fairly breezy around southeastern coasts too. But through Thursday it'll be fairly similar to what we saw today. Mostly dry, plenty of sunny spells, wall-to-wall blue skies for many areas. But western parts of Scotland, it is still going to be fairly breezy here, some high cloud pushing in. That will just create hazier spells of sunshine. But for most, it should be a mostly pleasant day. Temperatures will just start to push into the low 20s around the London area, but elsewhere mid to high teens, and still remaining fairly breezy around southeastern coasts. Through into Friday, once again, another chilly start, some mist and fog patches possible, but more clouds starting to push into the very far southeast. A chance we could see an isolated shower push through, and similar across the far northeast of England, and also Scotland too could see the odd isolated shower. But many, once again, it should be a mostly dry day. That's before a more unsettled picture as we head into Saturday. It's likely we'll see spells of rain and some possible strong winds.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Well, 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 Andy Burnham is on manoeuvres, isn't he? He's been told he should basically oust the Prime Minister by Labour MPs. Is Keir Starmer in big trouble? Keir Starmer's top aide is also back in the news today, Morgan McSweeney. It's potentially his second scandal in 2 weeks. Is it all over for him too? How's phase 2 going, Keir Starmer? On top of that, an Afghan has gone back to Afghanistan on holiday despite claiming to be a refugee in desperate need of help. That and so much more to come. See you shortly.
You could bank an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. And if that wasn't enough, you'll also get to drive away in this brand new motorhome. This brand new 2025 Benimar Primero could be yours. It comes with all the mod cons you'd expect from a vehicle worth over £74,000 and comfortably sleeps 4 people. This prize package is worth over £104,000. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it?
no,
'Cause the
because
failure is-
you're
the failure is-
deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel. Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
And
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let